every morning, before the world calls your name, before messages, expectations, and noise enter your mind. There is a brief moment that few people recognize, a moment when you still belong entirely to yourself. In that moment, your mind is like a lake that has not yet been disturbed. And whatever you place into it first will create ripples that continue throughout the day. Yet most people do not protect this sacred moment. They wake up, reach for their phones, and open the door to comparison, fear, news, and the lives of other people before they even remember who they are. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, distracted, and constantly behind in life. The truth is that the greatest battle does not begin in the world outside you. It begins within the first few minutes after you open your eyes. When you allow the world to speak first, your mind becomes a home for the voices of others. When fear speaks first, your entire day is guided by defense. When comparison enters first, you begin your morning with a feeling of inadequacy. You do not lack time. You lack control over the first moments of your day. Marcus Aurelius taught that the quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. This is not a beautiful sentence meant to decorate a wall. It is a warning. Thoughts do not simply pass through your mind and disappear. Repeated thoughts become beliefs. Repeated beliefs become actions. Repeated actions become character. And character, over time, becomes destiny. Every morning, you are quietly casting a vote for the person you are becoming. You can vote for panic, procrastination, and self-doubt. Or you can vote for calmness, awareness, and discipline. Your brain is not a fixed piece of stone. It changes according to what you repeatedly think, feel, and practice. Neural pathways grow stronger through attention, language, emotion, and action. What you say to yourself each morning is not meaningless. It is the material from which your inner world is built. When you repeatedly tell yourself that you are weak, life will find ways to confirm that belief. When you remind yourself that you can choose your response, your mind gradually learns to pause before reacting. When you declare that today is what matters most, you become less controlled by the past and less frightened by a future that does not yet exist. But do not confuse this practice with empty affirmations. No sentence can save a person who refuses to act. Words gain power only when they become instructions for behavior. Say calmness, then slow yourself down. When someone insults you, say discipline, then leave the bed. When your body wants more sleep, say presence. Then put down your phone and complete the task in front of you. This is how the mind is trained, not through one dramatic moment of inspiration, but through small decisions repeated in silence. You do not have to conquer your entire life this morning. You only have to refuse to hand the steering wheel to fear. You only have to sit up, breathe deeply, and remember that before you become an employee, a parent, a leader, or a person carrying responsibilities, you are the guardian of your own mind. No one can perform this duty for you. The world will always try to plant urgency, scarcity, and anxiety inside your thoughts. But you have the power to decide what is allowed to remain. Morning is the gate. The mind is the battlefield. And the first thing you choose to believe will determine whether you enter the day as someone controlled by the world or as someone who has finally awakened. The moment you reclaim the first minutes of your morning, you begin to see the deeper truth The world does not control you as completely as you once believed. Events may arrive without permission. People may disappoint you. Plans may collapse. And circumstances may change before you are ready. But none of these things can decide the final shape of your character unless you surrender that authority. Between what happens to you and what you do next, there is a space, and inside that space lives your freedom. Most people never enter it. They react before they understand, speak before they think, defend before they listen, and allow one moment of anger to command an entire day. This is why so many lives are not truly lived. They are merely reactions repeated until they become habits. You may not control the words someone throws at you, but you control whether those words become poison in your mind. You may not control rejection, delay, betrayal, or loss, but you control whether pain becomes bitterness or wisdom. This is the beginning of self-mastery, not the ability to avoid difficulty, but the ability to remain conscious inside it. Viktor Frankl spoke of the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, he found the power to choose. That power is not reserved for philosophers, monks, or extraordinary people. It is present in you every time you pause instead of exploding, every time you breathe instead of attacking, every time you ask what is true before obeying what you feel. Your first emotion may be automatic, but your next action does not have to be. Anger may rise. Fear may tighten your chest. Pride may demand that you prove yourself. But these forces are not your masters. They are signals, not commands. The undisciplined mind obeys every signal. The trained mind observes, examines, and chooses. This is why your response matters more than the event itself. The event may last 1 minute, but an unconscious reaction can create consequences that last for years. One impulsive sentence can destroy trust. One moment of pride can close a door. One decision made in fear can pull you away from the life you were meant to build. Yet the opposite is also true. One calm response can protect a relationship. One disciplined silence can preserve your dignity. One clear decision can redirect your future. You are not a character trapped inside a story written by other people. You are the author of what happens next. You cannot rewrite every page that came before, but you still hold the pen today. This does not mean pretending that pain does not exist. It does not mean becoming cold, passive, or emotionless. It means refusing to let emotion become your ruler. Feel what you feel, but do not become what you feel. Let anger visit, but do not build it a home. Let fear speak, but do not let it give the orders. Let sadness pass through you, but do not hand it the map of your future. Every reaction is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Each time you choose patience, you strengthen patience. Each time you choose restraint, you strengthen restraint. Each time you choose clarity over impulse, you build a mind that can remain steady when life becomes uncertain. This is how freedom is practiced, not in grand declarations, but in the quiet discipline of choosing your response again and again. The next time someone provokes you, do not ask only what they deserve. Ask what kind of person you want to be in that moment. The next time life closes a door, do not ask only why this happened. Ask what this moment is asking you to develop. The next time fear tells you to retreat, do not obey immediately. Pause. Breathe. And remember that you are not powerless. You may not choose the storm, but you choose how you stand inside it. You may not control the pressure, but you choose whether it crushes you or shapes you. And once you understand this, adversity no longer appears only as an enemy. It becomes the place where your strength is revealed and where your next stage of growth begins. Once you understand that you can choose how you stand inside the storm, you begin to see adversity differently. What once looked like punishment may become training. What once felt like resistance may become direction. Growth rarely arrives wearing the face of comfort. It comes through pressure, uncertainty, rejection, delay, loneliness, and moments when the person you used to be can no longer carry the life you are trying to build. This is why discomfort is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it is evidence that something within you is being strengthened. The body grows stronger when it meets resistance, and the mind develops in the same way. Seneca taught that difficulty strengthens the mind as labor strengthens the body. A muscle that is never challenged becomes weak. A mind that is always protected from difficulty becomes fragile. When life removes comfort, it may also be removing the walls that have kept your strength hidden. Yet most people run from this process. They interpret pain as failure, uncertainty as danger, and delay as rejection. They ask how to escape the struggle before asking what the struggle is trying to teach them. But the path of self-mastery requires a different question. Instead of asking why life is doing this to you, ask what life is developing within you. Perhaps this moment is teaching patience. Perhaps the rejection is breaking your dependence on approval. Perhaps the delay is strengthening discipline. Perhaps the loneliness is forcing you to meet the parts of yourself that noise once allowed you to avoid. This is the spirit of amor fati, to love what happens, not because every event is pleasant, but because every event can be used. You do not have to celebrate the wound. You have to refuse to waste it. You do not have to pretend that loss feels good. You have to decide that loss will not leave you empty-handed. Every difficulty carries material. Pain can become awareness. Failure can become precision. Humiliation can become humility. Fear can become preparation. The event itself may not be chosen, but the meaning you build from it still belongs to you. This is where growth lives. It does not live in the moment when everything goes according to plan. It lives in the moment when the plan collapses and you choose not to collapse with it. It lives when your confidence disappears and you continue through discipline. It lives when nobody applauds and you keep practicing. It lives when progress becomes invisible and you remain committed. The mind often wants proof before effort. But real transformation demands effort before proof. You may have to walk for a long time before the road reveals where it is leading. You may have to continue without recognition, certainty, or immediate reward. This is not wasted time. This is the hidden season when roots grow beneath the surface. Anxiety will tell you that pressure means you are breaking. Awareness will remind you that pressure can also shape you. A stone under pressure may crack, but carbon under pressure can become something stronger. The difference is not the absence of force. The difference is how that force is received and transformed when fear rises. Do not spend all your energy trying to destroy it. Listen to what it reveals. Fear may show you where preparation is missing. It may reveal where your identity is still dependent on success. It may point toward the boundary you must cross. Use that information. Turn nervous energy into movement. Turn uncertainty into preparation. Turn discomfort into proof that you are no longer standing where you once stood. You are not required to enjoy every challenge. You are required to remain awake inside it. Do not become addicted to suffering, but do not become afraid of it either. Pain is a teacher, but only when you stop arguing with every lesson. The obstacle before you is not separate from the path. It may be the path, the difficult conversation, the early morning, the failed attempt, the lonely season, the discipline nobody sees. These are not interruptions to your transformation. They are the place where transformation occurs. And when you stop demanding that life become easier, you become capable of becoming stronger. Then adversity loses its power to define you. It becomes raw material in your hands. You no longer ask for a life without pressure. You ask for the clarity to use pressure well. You no longer pray only for the storm to end. You train yourself to walk through it with steadiness. And as you continue, you discover that growth is not waiting somewhere beyond this difficult moment. Growth is already here. Growth is already here. But it can only be touched in the present moment. The past may explain you, and the future may call you forward, but neither can be lived. Only today can receive your effort. Only this hour can hold your attention. Only this moment can become action. Yet the mind often refuses to remain where life is happening. It returns to old mistakes, rehearses old conversations, and rebuilds pain that has already passed. Then it escapes into the future, imagining failure, rejection, loss, and problems that have not arrived. In this way, a person can suffer through yesterday and tomorrow while completely missing today. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to confine his attention to the present. This was not an invitation to ignore responsibility. It was a discipline of power. When your mind is divided between what cannot be changed and what cannot yet be known, your strength is divided with it. Regret pulls you backward. Anxiety drags you forward. Presence returns you to the only place where you can choose. You cannot correct yesterday from inside your memory. You correct it by living differently today. You cannot control tomorrow by worrying harder. You prepare for it by doing the work that belongs to this moment. The present is not small. It is the doorway through which every future enters. Every habit is practiced now. Every decision is made now. Every act of courage begins now. The life you keep postponing is built from ordinary moments that seem unimportant while they are passing. Drink the water, make the bed, open the page, take the walk, finish the task, speak the truth. These actions may look too simple to transform a life, but the life is rarely rebuilt in one dramatic event. It is shaped by what you repeatedly do. When no moment appears dramatic, the mind creates pressure by trying to carry the entire road at once. It looks at the distance and becomes exhausted before the first step. It imagines every challenge and every possible failure, then calls this preparation, but it is mental noise. Real preparation asks one question: what is required of me now? Not next month, not when I feel ready, not when fear disappears. Now, when the answer is clear, return your attention to the next honest action. The future does not need your panic. It needs your discipline. The past does not need your punishment. It needs your understanding. Today needs your presence. Treat this day as a complete life. Wake as if you have been given a beginning. Work as if your actions carry weight. Speak as if your words cannot be taken back. Rest as if the day deserves a peaceful ending. This does not mean sadness disappears or uncertainty becomes easy. It means you stop adding imaginary suffering to real difficulty. You carry what is here, instead of carrying every possible burden at once. When pain arises, meet this pain. When work appears, do this work. When rest is needed, take this rest. The mind becomes stable when it stops traveling without purpose. Each time you notice yourself returning to regret, come back to your breath. Each time you find yourself predicting disaster, come back to your body, feel your feet on the ground, look at what is in front of you. Name the next action. Presence is not passive. It is the highest form of participation. It is the refusal to abandon your life for memories and predictions. You may believe that your most important day will arrive when you achieve more, heal completely, gain recognition, or finally feel confident, but the most important day is always the one you are living, because it is the only day that can change the direction of the next one. Do not wait for life to become meaningful before you give it your attention. Attention is what gives life meaning. The person you want to become is not waiting in some distant future. That person is being formed by the way you think, speak, and act today. You do not need to carry the whole year this morning. You do not need to repair your entire past tonight. You need only to honor the moment in your hands. When you do that, the present stops feeling ordinary. It becomes sacred ground, and from that ground, a quieter truth begins to rise. Your worth was never dependent on how far you had traveled in the first place. Your worth was never dependent on how far you had traveled in the first place. This is the truth. Many people spend years avoiding because the world trains you to measure yourself through achievement, appearance, status, praise, and approval. From an early age, you learn to believe that love must be earned, that respect must be chased, and that your value rises or falls according to how well you perform. So you begin running on a machine that never stops. You reach one goal, and another appears. You receive one compliment, and soon you need another. You prove yourself in one room, then enter the next room, afraid that you will be exposed as not enough. This is not ambition. This is captivity disguised as progress. There is nothing wrong with growth, excellence, or accomplishment. The danger begins when you use them to purchase a sense of worth that should never have been for sale. When your value depends on results, every failure becomes an attack on your identity. Every rejection becomes evidence that something is wrong with you. Every person who does not understand you becomes a judge in a court that exists only inside your mind. Then you live as a prisoner of opinions you cannot control. You adjust your voice, your choices, your dreams, and even your personality to remain acceptable. Slowly, you abandon yourself while trying to convince others not to abandon you. But self-mastery requires a return. It requires you to stand still long enough to remember that you were a human being before you became a title, a role, a success, or a disappointment. Your value is not a reward for perfect behavior. It is not granted by applause. It is not removed by failure. You do not become more worthy when someone chooses you, and you do not become less worthy when someone walks away. Their decision may affect your life, but it does not define your essence. To say that you are enough does not mean that you have nothing left to learn. It does not mean that every habit should remain unchanged, or that every weakness should be protected. It means that growth begins from respect, not self-hatred. You can improve your discipline without declaring war on your humanity. You can correct your mistakes without turning yourself into the mistake. You can want more from life without believing that you are nothing until you receive it. A tree does not hate its roots because it has not yet reached its full height. It grows because growth is its nature. You must learn to do the same. Stop treating yourself as a broken object that must be repaired before it deserves care. You are not a project waiting to become lovable. You are a person learning how to return to what was always present. When the mind says that you are behind, ask who created the timeline. When it says that everyone else is doing better, ask why their path has become the measure of yours. Comparison is a form of blindness. It forces you to stare at the visible surface of another life while ignoring the invisible depth of your own. You see their result, but not their fear. You see their confidence, but not their private battles. You see their season of harvest. Then condemn yourself for still planting seeds. Release this violence. Your journey does not become meaningless because it moves at a different pace. Your value does not shrink because someone else shines. Light is not a limited resource. The strength of another person does not take strength away from you. Each morning, remind yourself that you do not need to audition for your place in the world. You do not need to perform peace. You do not need to prove your pain. You do not need to become extraordinary before you are allowed to stand with dignity. Let your actions come from clarity, not hunger for validation. Work because your work matters. Train because discipline frees you. Speak honestly because truth keeps you whole. Love because love reflects your nature, not because you are bargaining for acceptance. The moment you stop begging the world to tell you who you are, a great amount of energy returns. That energy was once spent reading faces, chasing approval, defending your image, and fearing rejection. Now it can be used to build, to serve, to create, and to live. This is the quiet power of knowing that you are enough. It does not make you passive. It makes you stable. It does not end ambition. It purifies ambition. You no longer climb to prove that you deserve to exist. You climb because there is something within you worth expressing. And when your worth is no longer controlled by outcomes, you become ready for the next lesson. To give your full effort while releasing your grip on everything that was never yours to control. When your worth is no longer controlled by outcomes, you become ready for a deeper form of freedom. The freedom to give your full effort without demanding that life obey your plans. Much of human exhaustion does not come from action itself. It comes from the attempt to control what was never placed in our hands. We try to control how others see us, how quickly opportunities arrive, how relationships unfold, how long healing takes, and whether our work receives the recognition we believe it deserves. We confuse influence with ownership. We can influence a conversation, but we cannot command another person to understand. We can prepare carefully, but we cannot force the perfect result. We can love sincerely, but we cannot make someone remain. We can plant the seed, protect the soil, and water it each day. But we cannot pull the stem from the ground before its time. The more tightly we grip what cannot be controlled, the more peace escapes through our hands. This is why acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is the intelligence to see reality clearly. It is the decision to stop arguing with what has already happened and to stop spending strength on doors that do not respond to force. The Stoics understood that peace begins with a simple distinction. Some things belong to you, and some things do not. Your judgment belongs to you. Your effort belongs to you. Your preparation, your conduct, your attention, and your response belong to you. The opinions of others do not, the past does not, timing does not, chance does not. The final outcome is never completely yours. When you fail to make this distinction, you place your emotional stability in the hands of strangers, circumstances, and events. A delayed answer ruins your day. A cold expression makes you question your worth. A change of plans feels like betrayal. A result you cannot predict becomes a prison inside your mind. You begin to believe that peace will come only when everything is settled. But life is never completely settled. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be people you cannot please, questions you cannot answer, and outcomes you cannot guarantee. If peace depends on certainty, peace will always remain in the future. The practice is to bring it back into the present. Ask yourself, what is mine to do now? Prepare with care. Speak with honesty. Act with courage. Correct what can be corrected. Then release the demand that reality must reward you exactly as expected. This is not indifference. It is disciplined participation. You remain fully engaged, but you stop confusing attachment with commitment. Commitment says, I will give my best. Attachment says, life must give me what I want. Commitment creates strength. Attachment creates fear. The person who is attached to one outcome becomes fragile because every unexpected turn feels like destruction. The person who is committed to right action remains steady because meaning is found in the quality of the effort. You may not receive the position, you can still leave with integrity. The relationship may end, you can still leave with wisdom. The plan may fail, you can still carry forward the discipline that the process built within you. Nothing is completely wasted when you refuse to waste a lesson. Letting go does not mean that you stop caring. It means that you stop trying to dominate life through worry. Worry often pretends to be responsibility, but it rarely changes the outcome. It only forces you to experience imagined pain before reality has spoken. Preparation is useful. Repetition of fear is not. Do what can be done. Then allow the rest to unfold without turning uncertainty into punishment. When your mind begins chasing every possible future, return to what belongs to you. Your breath, your posture, your next decision, your next honest action. This is where your authority lives. Not in controlling the entire road, but in choosing how you walk the ground beneath your feet. You may influence the weather of your life, but you will never command every storm. Build the shelter, strengthen the body, learn to read the sky, then accept that the wind will move as it moves. There is dignity in this surrender, not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of illusion. You release the belief that control is the same as safety. You discover that real safety comes from trusting your ability to respond. The future does not have to follow your script for you to remain whole. Life does not have to become predictable for you to become peaceful. Give your best to what is yours. Release what is not. In that balance, the mind stops fighting the world and begins working with reality. And from this quiet cooperation, you become prepared for the final task, to build these principles into a daily practice until you are no longer a prisoner of old patterns, but the conscious architect of your own mind. To become the conscious architect of your own mind is not to control every thought that appears, but to choose which thoughts are allowed to become foundations. A mind left untrained will build itself from fear, comparison, impulse, memory, and the opinions of the world. It will repeat whatever enters most often. It will strengthen whatever receives the most attention. This is why your mornings matter. This is why your words matter. This is why the first instructions you give yourself each day slowly become the structure of your life. You have learned that you can choose your response even when you cannot choose the event. You have learned that growth is often hidden inside discomfort and that adversity can become material for strength. You have learned that today is the only place where power can be used. You have learned that your worth does not rise and fall with success, rejection, praise, or approval. You have learned to give your full effort while releasing what does not belong to your control. These are not 5 beautiful ideas to remember for a few minutes. They are 5 disciplines to practice until they become part of your character. Each morning, say them slowly. I choose my response. Growth is here. Today matters most. I am enough. I release control. Do not repeat them like someone waiting for magic. Repeat them like someone giving direction to a mind that has spent years wandering. Then prove each word through action. When anger rises, choose your response. When resistance appears, remember that growth is here. When regret returns or anxiety pulls you forward, come back to today. When comparison attacks your confidence, remember that you are enough. When the outcome refuses to obey your plan, release what was never yours to command. This is how inner architecture is built. One thought, one decision, one response, one morning at a time. You will not perform this perfectly. Some days, fear will speak louder. Some days, old patterns will return. Some mornings you will reach for distraction before awareness. Do not turn one mistake into a new identity. Return. The strength of practice is not found in never falling away. It is found in coming back without excuses and without self-hatred. A strong mind is not created through perfection. It is created through repetition. The river shapes the stone not through one violent strike, but through steady contact over time. Your daily choices will shape you in the same way. What feels small today will become natural tomorrow. The pause before reaction will become self-control. The willingness to face discomfort will become courage. The attention you give to the present will become peace. The respect you offer yourself will become stability. The release of unnecessary control will become freedom. Eventually, the person you are trying to become will no longer feel distant. That person will appear in the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you work, and the way you endure. But remember, the world will continue to test the structure you build. There will be criticism, uncertainty, loss, temptation, and delay. These tests do not mean the practice has failed. They reveal whether the foundation is strong. A peaceful mind is not a mind that never meets chaos. It is a mind that has learned where to stand when chaos arrives. A disciplined person is not someone who never feels resistance. It is someone who no longer gives resistance the final word. Every challenge will ask the same question in a different form. Who is in command here? Your fear, your past, the crowd, the outcome, or the conscious mind you have trained? Answer through your actions. Protect the first moments of your day. Sit in silence before entering the noise. Breathe before you react. Remember what belongs to you. Direct your attention with purpose. The mind is always listening, even when you believe your words do not matter. It listens to what you repeat. It watches what you tolerate. It learns from what you practice. Give it clear instructions. Give it strong examples. Give it a direction worthy of the life you want to create. You are not merely living inside your mind. You are building it. You are not condemned to remain inside old patterns. You can remove what weakens the structure and strengthen what allows it to stand. Begin again tomorrow morning. Then begin again the morning after that. Let each day become another stone, placed with awareness. Let each response become another wall against chaos. Let each act of discipline become another window through which clarity enters. And when the world asks who you are becoming, do not answer with promises. Let your life answer, stand quietly within the structure you have built, and say with full responsibility, I am the architect of my mind.